Yo, what's up YouTube? This is my affirmation video. My name's Max. Yes, I changed my name from all my other videos because I've changed my thoughts through this notepad and it doesn't matter anyways. And we're on chapter 10 and this is Masterminds through the book Think and Grow Rich through the Napoleon Hill Foundation. So yes, I'm just repeating it to the camera. You can listen along to the information that I'm providing you. And the man who actually knows just what he wants in life has already gone a long way towards attaining it. And that was said by Napoleon Hill. And this is chapter 10, Masterminds. Hopefully it doesn't cut off on me. This is Masterminds. Although it was not the usual California sunshiny day outside, Buckland smiled bright and listened to the atmosphere into the cabin, which he slid into the back seat next to Greg. I understand you have been quite busy, he said. It's been incredible, Greg explained. I can't believe you get to do this for a living, traveling around the country, meeting the greatest people alive to share their insights. I mean, as a profession, I am not into marketing as much as insofar into the fact that I'm not getting paid to do this. I am just really stressed out financially, but I am learning so much that is totally worth it. If this book turns out as I hope, it will find the right publisher and it will be the bestseller, Greg Buckland said. A privilege indeed. Few people have the opportunity to pursue their passions and dreams. Let me rephrase that. Everyone has the opportunity, but as I wrote in a note of everyone does which they do it and by their own way. I spoke of Don Green the other day, and he was pleased with your progress as he sat there, and a mutual friend, and of course, by which he was able to be one of the favorite interviewers to date. Talk about not quitting 3 feet from gold. That guy, some thick skin he has. What did he tell you? Greg pulled his notepad out his pocket. Buckland then noticed that it was getting out of the wear. It was covered as if it was lost on the shine of the wet of the edges had become blunted. The pages themselves were wrinkled from use. Buckland noted on how much the pages Greg flipped past through, which continued to looking for, as if Greg said as he scanned his notes, in which he read people would give up too soon, and told me how hard it was when he started his business back in the early 1970s. Suddenly, as he interrupted himself, hey, wait a second, or where are we going anyway? Don't worry, Buckland said. Mysteriously, you know where we get there and how you'll continue on doing which Dave had said. Well, Remax is the fastest growing real estate franchise in the world today, even in the tough market, on the ongoing fact in which we had folded our cards, not give up in the early years when the times could not have been worse. The times could not have been worse. He said the company was $600,000 in debt. He had made his mistake of starting in the recession in 1973 when the housing market collapsed, in the financial back years in which John, he confessed that everything in the company could do it wrong, and was already doing it wrong. And most people would have just called it quits and moved on to something else. But there was a small group of believers, and they decided to stick it out no matter what they thought and vowed, and make it as just one more day, and we would not quit, never, ever. And Buckland interjected as he told me, which has strung on one more day together, until they finally hit pay dirt. Yes, for the first 2 years, it seemed that every call was from a great bill collector, and got worse in the third year. In fact, they joked that in return of the address of the, excuse me, let me clear my throat, of the firms threatening to sue him when the competition became negative and hurtful things about him. They hit a low point. Who wouldn't? Not only did the creditors chase him down, and the colleagues of the lenders of his own industry had nothing but positive things to say about him. I mean, you can imagine being told about how much you mess up you are. After a while, you start to believe it. But he wouldn't do this, Buckland asked, already knowing exactly how the story ended. Note, he said there were about 40 employees who saw the first big picture, and they went against conventional wisdom and decided to stick it out. And his wife and their vision. This support gave him the confidence to continue on his creditors proactively and say, I know I owe you $100,000. but it only seemed that I give you $50, and I'm going to call you each week before you call me to tell me how much I'm going to send. You can imagine the response. And they told me that he understood to keep calling him and that it was going to file and not quit and leave them with nothing. And he continued to remind them of the commitment they had with us and the important advice of himself. Buckland began with pride as he listened to the pupil of the story, and then the miracle happened. People started buying franchises, and from the purchasers, of which they were around the company, and the staff that worked for the maximum. I'm Max, and it's the maximum every day. That's where you got to the Remax. Yes, Buckland agreed. Does it truly of a man of great character? Here's the best part. Greg read aloud from his notepad. Prove yourself right. A question came from the front of the cab. What does that mean? Greg leaned forward to address the cab driver. He was used to the people of eavesdropping and the conversations by now. Well, it's like this. After so many people told him he was a failure, Dave knew he really was, and at first wanted to see just to prove everyone wrong. Then he turned his attention to the better challenge of what he really mattered. The cabbie stopped at the light and turned around to look at the back seat of the car, encouraging Greg to continue. And as he decided he would change his focus to prove himself right, and that he was not like the people that were labeling him and placing him, he knew that inside he was doing was true and noble, and through the times were simply growing pains of which every great endeavor goes through. He told himself either over and over and a good person, and that he was doing something special and right to create jobs and business opportunities, and whom wished the driver, when we returned the attention to the road, his customer had given him much of the digest over the next few hours of the shift. Every once in a while the cabbie driver of a tip drip while they're I don't know what I'm saying. Worth more than the money and the worthy of the wallets. You are really good at getting the message across. Greg's mentor said when we announced the driver and then put up the traditional steakhouse like in which which had seen decades. As they were ushered past the red velvet drapes, you could smell the aroma of the porterhouse steaks sizzling on the grill that stopped at the door. Where Buckland had said, I want to meet you a few people you cannot stay. This is my personal mastermind group. When we gather once a month and to network and share ideas, please don't be offended. I may join you for a moment, but I can invite you in which it will be inappropriate and given the nature of the meeting, no problem. Greg responded as they entered the room, and Greg, the great wolf, scanned the walls to find the portraits of the legends right away as he recognized the 5 faces of yesterday's heroes, and to the pages of the book that had come across, and to the chairs to admire and grow rich. Think and grow rich. Think and grow rich. Think and grow rich. Think and Grow Rich. William Wrigley Jr., George Eastman, Theodore Roosevelt, Woolworth, and Charles Schwab, in which the center of the room around an oak steel conference table sat 4 of today's successes, icons whose names were not immediately recognized as Hill's original group yet. James, John, Tom, Mike, Greg, but look at them, said, notice 4 people here, plus me. This is significant because we believe that we're a direct reflection of the 5 people we associate with most. And your income, attitude, and lifestyle is the average of those 5 people. If you surround yourself with leaders, and will eventually become one too. Unfortunately, it works the opposite way too. Turning towards the group, Buckland announced, gentlemen, this is the character by which I'm talking about. I am Max. As you know, Greg is writing a book of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. This is not going to stop you from staying in our meeting, but we would appreciate it if each of you would offer one piece of information as inspiration and which we would use for the project. Buckland put his hand and which should have a closet next to him, and to the entrepreneur or the philanthropist. Amos was the former chair in the queue of the mailboxes, etc., the world's largest, fastest growing financier of the retail, business, communication, and postal service center. The NB network, nearly 4,500 locations worldwide, with most licensing agreements in more than 80 countries around the world, and the tools in which were sold and renamed at the stores. In addition, the past chair of the International Franchisor Association, currently of the Chair International Association, currently in the International Association of the Corporation. In other words, Buckland said, offering a brief Yeah, we're on 10. Bro, by the way, of the introduction, he knows what he's talking about. I'm gonna start right with Chuck was saying, I really do that. Welcome to our little group where we are on the mission. We know we are seeking some tablets of the experience in which may help your project. To begin with, please and understand this way, any business venture takes patience. It often takes 3 or 4, sometimes 5 years to discover whether you're a hero or an idiot, but understands bright side, which will always be someone there to tell you either way, even when the room and the laughing went on in a serious note, just to say what the margin between success and failure is a very fine line. And no one knows more than we do. So when you have a small when you have a small percentage of victory, and the best thing I can recommend is that you be thankful and show gratitude. And this is what this is all about. Doing so keeps things in proper perspective, and you may be able to feel your keep the compassion going, and you got it. And Greg said that true at Kathy told me once more to plan too much and be sure to take on action towards my goals, and didn't research a plan by playing the role of success. And here's the truth, that all diligence is historic. All about the past, but the decision making is about the future. Vision comes from the people who take this limited degree of awareness to make a decision, and with and are and is absolutely prophetic with it. Intrigued by the response, I realized, I'm Max, and here it is written in his notepad. And since entered the room, he reached for it and scribbled the margins between success and failure is a very fine, very thin line. History is the past, and based decisions on the future. In the chair beside him was Slash, the man with thinning hair and bushing eyebrows. Buckland cheered his throat and introduced him. This is John Schwartz, and his smart of the group and his famous scientist. You may read about his work in magazines and seen him on the Discovery Channel. Greg indeed remembered having seen it on TV about his work and elaborating on Einstein's theory, and his partner, Anne Green, has proposed an attempting string theory as a candidate for the unifying theory of gravity and other fundamental forces, naming the superior string theory. Scientists originally thought an atom, which is the smallest molecule structure, in which split and create a nuclear fission. They then realized that they are even smaller, the things that sparks and are held together by the strings in which they vibrate different frequencies like guitar strings, creating whatever known as energy forever in a decade. And Green understood and uncovered the innovations that felt and would convince other scientists and other truth findings. But the science community considered how certain apparent inconsistencies and anomalies would not be avoided. Suddenly, the subject became very fashionable and one of the most active areas of research in these theoretical physics. But John, can you tell me, a young man, some advice? Buckland requested, sure, continuing along the same line is a slim line of degree between the success and failure, and is very small indeed. In my case, there was a 10-year period in which everyone against me and thought I was a crackpot. When Don Green and I had a breakthrough, people started to pay attention. Up until that point, almost everybody simply were just mad. And then, to my surprise, almost overnight, people saw us as smart. So it only took you a decade to become an overnight success. Greg interrupted and saw that for sure. Someone else I spoke with on the same type of thing. What made you keep going? That's simple. Pausing to take a sip of coffee. He looked at the visitor, said, and a matter of fact, her voice, it was right there. It was, and another example of becoming an overnight success. Excuse me. After years of work and effort, just as Richard Cohen had mentioned, and having that knowing, just like the conduct of Greg, he knew he was onto something. How is that true that people had such a different background that all shared the same stories? Was it possible that each of these folks followed the same basic blueprint for success in their lives? Could Schwartz be right? And maybe everything he realizes is staying connected by the universal strings. Buckland turns into the table and motioned to one of the closest friends. This is Dr. Tom. And he is a well-dressed guy on the group and well-renowned business leader, author, speaker, and humanitarian. He is chair CEO of IGA, the world's largest voluntary supermarket network around the world. Retail sales of more than 21 billion per year. Even I'm looking forward to hearing what he'll say. With arms folded and resting at the table in front of him, he stared into the light as if his eyes were nowhere else in the room. Some of you prepare for no. He said, "Excuse me, and this is the degree in success which you choose in proportion to how many could sustain in the course of staying in the excitement of the process. No one knows that you are willing to go through to desire the will to dictate in which you succeed or fail." The others in the room murmured in agreement. No is the second answer you're going to get, or at least it's no where you stand. It is the pesky maybes that really get in the way. I once heard a fellow study say, and if you're willing to ask enough young ladies, eventually you'll get a date for a dance. The same applies pretty much for anything you want in life, and the key is to focus more on the outcome and less on the detours. The others reflected on the comment, smiling as they remembered their own business ventures, both the successes and the failures. As he continued, point is, the more rejection you can handle, the stronger you're incapable in which the yes finally comes. And the faster and old-fashioned success and the reward is of just setbacks, and it is claimed here as you come up with a few good ones, and then there you're going to have borrowed the same time. And smiling, he continued, fact is, and I think we all agree here, in the people and with the greatest achievements during the toughest times, they may take the most money, but it is that they course of corrections and have tended to become introspective and lay found action on moving forward. Agreed, offered, and he has freshened up his thoughts, in which the final message is here. The trick is to stop running around with other people who are all considering giving up. If you feel like quitting, surround yourself with others who simply will not quit. Energy feeds off itself. To spend time with great people and have faith, position into the next of having the man whose demeanor made him seem larger than life is 6'5". He is a giant of a man and reminded Greg of Western movie hero John Wayne. I got something to say. My name is Mike Henton. I'm the president of the company. You might know my name is NASCAR. And Greg joked, yeah, I think I might have heard of it. Being a true fan of himself, Greg was familiar with Hilton's story. And the child of Bristol, Virginia, Mike Henton loved the Bristol Motor Speedway, with which his dad, and watched the races. He attended King College in Tennessee as accountant major and worked in the local radio station, attending a small school on Saturday morning. And talk show the host that it was his favorite topic in racing. Fulfilling his dream of working as a track, later became public relations director of Atlantic Motor Speedway and kept advancing through the ranks, and including stops at the Daytona Talladega in 1999. He was named as senior vice president and chief operating officer in NASCAR, and then in 2000, Helmut became the first president outside the founding France family to serve as president of NASCAR. Helton said, "I noticed I have a notepad and I keep writing in it, and I also carry something very dear to me. I have reached in his left breast pocket and pulled out an age-shattered document that appeared to have nothing before him, but I keep this as a reminder as everywhere I go, as a constant reminder of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Is a list of principles in which I live by." He read aloud. This comes from a book called Cowboy Ethics, What Call Street, Then Learn the Code of the West by James Owen. Live each day with courage, take pride in your work, and always finish what you start. Do what you do, and do be tough. And by when your favorite is keep a promise, and promises are kept. And ride the brand, and talk less and say more. Remember that this is some sort of secret, and where we do the draw the line. Buckland said that is good stuff. Mike, know that after all these years, I never knew that it would be with you, but I'm a regular cowboy. Helton boomed, mimicking the John Wayne stance. Everyone around the table laughed again, and Greg asked for the company. Helton promised to email him. He got back to Daytona and finished his message with, and in addition to understanding this, you do not need a wall of plaques and degrees to become successful in this world, yet does one need to watch and follow the actions of steps of successful people. Do okay, then that was the time, which is now, Buckland said, as the student turned and leave, and thanked the gentleman for which to share the time of the discovery of his own. Want to know something funny? He said, holding up his notepad. A few weeks back, he sat down in the goal on which I would interview 7 influential people by the month's end. Last week, I spoke with a sports icon and a real estate magnate, and now I am in a 4 of you, and now I have only more to go, and I have no idea where these interviews and come about. But as I have learned, I do need to know how to exact how much I do have to save and to remember and to everything that is strong enough into which I have these great ideas in which I'm putting onto the shoulders of these guests. But because you have come here together and set up a meeting for which is most important person you may have seen in your life, it's already done, and then there is a seventh. Buckland congratulated Greg and handed him a round-trip airline ticket to Fiji, of all places. We want to fill the report and get back. Wow, Greg thought in the world in which is most important, yet lived in awe of way out in Fiji. He left the restaurant feeling 10 feet taller. He knew he had just experienced of a lifetime, one and that which few people would ever know. Well, that was a chapter from 3 Feet from Gold. I'm going to take it back here. Take it back here to this. Take it back here. Take it back here. Okay, so this was chapter 10. And this was Masterminds. 3 Feet from Gold, the Napoleon Hill Foundation. 3 Feet from Gold. I basically just copied the book, but I'm the author. And just use your imagination. And my I'm Max. Yes, I changed my name from all my other videos because I'm changing my mind through my thoughts. And I think that was a better fit anyways. So, I mean, what does it matter? It's not like anything has happened yet, so yeah. It's cool. It's because of my masterminds, I think. But anyways, I'll talk to you later.